I'm Savannah Hill.
And I'm Sarah Murphy, and we're out here at the Capitol building in Sacramento, California.
So in order to answer the question of the most important issue that the President and Congress should address this year, we thought who better to ask than the people themselves.
And we got a variety of responses, but we found one answer was expressed the most.
I think immigration would be a very important issue.
This country is built on immigrants, so let's give them some respect. The more we get them, the more powerful this country becomes.
The immigration issue.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit as to why?
I think just because it seems to be the most conflicted issue.
Being fair and open for everyone. We don't live in a country where everyone is wealthy.
So what exactly is immigration? The definition of a legal immigrant to the United States is someone who holds a green card, meaning that they can live and work in the United States indefinitely.
It's a lengthy process that immigrants have to go through, a vetting process. And I think obviously a lot of immigrants, it's expensive and it is really, really drawn out, can take 5, 10, 15 years. And so a lot of immigrants obviously are choosing to bypass that and immigrate to the United States illegally.
Despite the stereotype of illegal Mexican immigrants, Graciela Reles, a native of Guadalajara, Mexico, knows what it was like to go through the process. She's one of 41 million immigrants who, together, make up 13% of the American population.
Even in Mexico, the ones that they have no money whatsoever, some of them, nothing. And I know is that country's government, they need to help them, but because that country is not like the United States. Here in the United States, we are rich. We are very fortunate to have what we have. And a lot of people don't appreciate this. When you come from over there, you appreciate anything, any little thing that you can do here, you appreciate it.
That border is going to be so strong, and the Syrians cannot be allowed to come in, folks. We don't know who the hell they are. We don't know who they are.
Amid all the fear of harboring war refugees, Shayla Bijic escaped the Bosnian War in 1992 to follow her vision of the American dream.
There are so many women, sorry, this is the hardest part, that were raped during the war, men that were in concentration camps during the war. So I think they have experienced the worst part of it. Again, as I said initially, being refugee is hard because you are forced to leave, right, and find your new life, and you feel guilty, but people that went through either physical or psychological hardship during the war are the ones that suffer the most.
Despite the hardships many refugees and immigrants face, they still receive significant opposition, especially from prominent government leaders like Vice President Mike Pence.
And across this country, Americans are anxious about the security of our border. Night after night, they see news images of people sneaking across the border in the dark of night. They hear tales of people paying thousands of dollars to so-called coyotes to smuggle them into the country. They worry that drugs will make their way into the hands of their children more readily, and they rightly fear that our porous borders make it more likely that terrorists will cross with deadly intentions against our families.
A lot of people see illegal immigration as one of the biggest problems because, from their perspective, they don't pay taxes, yet they get services like possibly medical care, education, and yet they're not paying into that.
But for many, the benefits of welcoming immigrants overwhelm the possible drawbacks.
Especially people when they come from whatever type of hardship, right? They are highly motivated to become part of this society, to contribute to society.
You can't take a blanket judgment on a whole diverse group of people in any situation. So it's really hard to say, yes, I'm scared of immigrants, or no, I have no fear of immigrants, because you just really, that's just such a broad statement to make.
In 2014, Obama issued an executive action in hopes of making a simpler path to naturalization for illegal immigrants with children. However, its programs were shot down in a Supreme Court ruling 2 years later.
But for more than 2 decades now, our immigration system, everybody acknowledges, has been broken. And the fact that the Supreme Court wasn't able to issue a decision today doesn't just set the system back even further. It takes us further from the country that we aspire to be.
Thus, the American public is still hopeful for a solution to current issues with immigration, prompting calls for progressive actions from Trump and Congress.
Tricky. We have to make it easy enough for them, but then at the same time, we do need to make sure, obviously, with the concerns of the public with terrorism and illegal drugs and all that stuff, we need to make it easy, but then at the same time, we need to make it a stringent process.
It may be years until necessary changes occur, but for the time being, all immigrants, whether legal or illegal, are in need of a support system.
Our job is to serve and to do what we can and hope that what our work goes towards somebody that needs it. And there's really not anything more we can do. There's always going to be somebody that takes advantage of the system, but we don't want those people to ruin it for the 99% that need it.
And with this being one of the most divided times in our country's history, what better way to unify citizens than through embracement of different cultures?
So our message to Washington is improve immigration policies and clear the air on who's allowed in the country and who's not. For C-SPAN, I'm Sarah Murphy.
And I'm Savannah Hill.